Good morning, everyone. And as always, thank you for giving up some of your valuable time. And I hope that you receive value out of the session this morning. As it was said, my name is Mandy Keil, and I am the Chief Empowerment Officer and one of the directors at the UPP Group, as well as Coach Up. And together with my husband, Duncan Keil, we are also certified John Maxwell coaches, mentors, and speakers. And our passion, aside from being a part of this amazing plumbing industry, is to also add value to others through leadership coaching and helping businesses and individuals in our industry to reach their full potential. So this morning, as I mentioned, one of my passions is leadership. And this morning, I want to chat about becoming a person of influence. So let's get right into it. So let me ask the question, who do you influence in your life? Who do you think you have an impact on, things that you say, do, that people look up to you and take leadership from you? Now, within the John Maxwell team, we define leadership like this. We say that leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. And contrary to what tradition says, contrary to popular belief, because if you go to the Webster's Dictionary, they define leadership as a position, a place, title, that type of thing. But for the most part, and for the majority of people that I speak to, they don't believe that they're leaders unless they have a title or position. So if you're running your own business at the moment, or maybe you working for a plumbing company, you might define leadership as whoever the owner of that business is, or whoever it is that you report to within that business. But you see, the way that we define leadership is that we define it as influence. Again, nothing more, nothing less than influence. So, I really look up to John Maxwell, and that's why I decided to become a certified coach through him. And he has been teaching about leadership, influence, and personal development for over 40 years. And so I think he has a lot to offer within this sphere. So let's get on to this topic. If we look at leadership as a compass, I want you to try and, I've got a picture of a compass here at the bottom of the screen. And as usual, the top of the compass is your north, at the bottom you have south, and then you have your west and your east points on that compass. Now, if you had to take a line, you can see the dots in that middle of that compass. And if you had to take a line and draw it straight down to south, so you can see there's a line going straight down to south. Now, when we look at that line in terms of leadership, that is where you don't want to be. You need to ask yourself as a leader in this business, in this industry, would someone follow me? Would someone take me seriously? And do they look up to me? And do they learn from me? Now, if we are drawing that line down to the bottom, that is where we are not focusing, where leadership is more about title and position, and we're expecting people to follow us just because of us saying so. And that is not effective leadership. Then if you had to draw a line to either your west or your east, that's what we call peer leadership. So peers could be, if you're working in a business, again, it could be your colleagues, but it could, in our bigger industry, it could also be other fellow plumbers, people that we engage with at our OPSA, at PRB, different levels within the context of our industry. Those are our peers. And we could say to ourselves, especially in relation to other plumbing businesses, we could say, well, why would I want to be at that level, peer leadership? Is that not my competition? But, my experience has been that I've learned so much from my peers in this industry. And so if you have an attitude of growth and wanting to know more and learn, there's always that opportunity to learn from our peers in the industry. And then if you take that line up towards your north, that is where you become a person of influence. That is where you are a leader leading other leaders. And I think it's a place that, that I think we've got quite a few of those kind of leaders in our industry. Met and encountered and engaged with them, quite a number of them at our OPSA evening that we had a while back. Well, I think it was just 2-3 weeks ago. And so we are really blessed to have true leadership within our industry making a difference. But let's look at, again, the fact that leadership is not a position, like I said, but more importantly, it is about people and the people that we engage with. And you have the ability to shape the way that other people think, the way they feel, or that they respond to any situation within your business or life in general. And I don't know if you've ever thought about that fact, that you have the ability to shape the way that people that you engage with on a regular basis, you've got the ability to shape the way that they think. And not just within the context of people that you work with, but if you look at the bigger industry, your clients, your suppliers, etc., how you communicate with them and how they perceive you will determine what type of leader you are to them. And that could be a good leader at this point in time, or it could be a not so good leader wanting to grow into a good one. I once read this article where it spoke about how a sociologist tells us that most people influence about 10,000 people on average in their lifetime. 10,000 people that you could be influencing over your lifetime. Now, that's quite a number. And they're not just referring to people, again, in sales or heads of companies, in management positions. They're talking about the average person. In other words, every one of us, whether you are shy, introverted, out there, extroverted, you have the ability to influence others. I just want you to think about that. That's the average person will, and that's you and that's me, will unintentionally influence 10,000 people over our lifetime. And whether you know it or not, yesterday, during the course of today, you are going to be influencing people. And there are people in your life right now that look up to you. And the decision that you must make is whether your influence is going to be positive or whether it is going to be negative. How many people could you impact if you started using your influence on purpose? I love that. Doing something on purpose with intention. So why do you want to influence? One thing to remember is why you do something will ultimately determine what level of influence you have with others. And a right attitude, right motives is critical. It's crucial to people because leadership ultimately is based on trust. Leadership and influence is based on trust. And without trust, influence is nothing more than, I call it manipulation or coercion, where you're using your position, whether it is you running your own plumbing business or whether you have a leadership or a senior role within a plumbing business at this point in time, or even in your greater sphere in life, in your family, in your community, etc. If you're using a position that you have to get others to do what you want, the way that you do it is either done in a very positive, uplifting, empowering way, or you're manipulating people to get what you want. And that is never a good thing, and it never lasts long. And most leaders realize that you can get 10% more done out of everybody if everyone's working as a team. So leadership is about empowering others, and through doing that, growing them, adding value to them, you get more done within your company, your business, within your industry, with your clients, with your suppliers, than you would if you were manipulating or whether you were just trying to do it yourself. But like I said, this is all based on trust. And I love this quote by Stephen Covey. He calls it speed of trust. And it says trust and the speed at which it is established with clients and employees is the essential ingredient for any high-performance, successful organization. So when there is trust, people know that you are there for them, and your clients know that you are there for them, your suppliers know that you're there for them, your colleagues, your peers, everyone understands that you are not there for your own interest, but for a shared interest. And this makes a massive impact, not only in your business, but in our industry as well. So, what do people want to know about you in your position as a leader? And I just want to emphasize again, and I've spoken about this before, that a leader, you are a leader right now, whether it's in your family, in your business, etc. The fact that you have the ability to have an impact on someone else means that you are a leader. So what do people need to know? What do they want to know about you in terms of you being an effective leader to them? Someone that they can look up to, someone that they can trust. And ultimately, people want to know, do you really care about them? And can you help them? And especially if you apply this to your business and what you do on a day-to-day business basis with your clients, they want to know that you're not just in it to get the job done so that you can submit your invoice and get paid, and that it's all about the money and the profit that you're going to make. Obviously, you're in a business and you are in a business to make money. But they want to know, do you really care about their issue, their challenge, and how are you going to make a difference to them? And, you know, I give an example. I met with one of our corporate clients, because part of what I do is ever so often I will just randomly contact some of our clients and I'll set up a relationship building meeting with them just to find out how they are experiencing us, what we are doing well, what we can improve on, and that type of thing. And you know, that I find is so important. The relationship building aspect of what we do with our clients is so important, and not just about going in there, doing a job, and you can do a great job and leave there, and then that's it. If you want longevity with that client, if you want to keep that client, your client, for however long, then they also need to know that you're not just about the job, but you're also in that business with them because you care about them, you care about making an impact and making their lives easier. And they want to know if you can help them. You know, the same meeting that I had with this client, it's their property management company. And their biggest thing for the guys who manage the buildings for them, the building managers, they want us to make their lives easy. They've got to deal with the tenants of those buildings that they look after every single day. And when something goes wrong, the tenant doesn't contact me if it's a plumbing issue, or if it's an electrical issue, contact the electrician or the builder or whatever. They contact that building manager of that property company, property management company. And so what we do within our business, when we look after property management companies, it's not just about going to fix that plumbing issue, but to do it in such a way that we make the building manager look like the best building manager those tenants have ever experienced. And because of that, they'll keep coming back to us. So they want to know, do you care and can you help them? And ultimately, can they trust you? When they call you, when they need something done, are you going to do it? And are you going to do it properly? And are you going to arrive on time? Can they trust you? So how do you increase your influence? Well, for me, I've always found that the most important thing about influence, and something that I'm really passionate about, is about adding value to others. And so how do you go about this? And as I mentioned before, you know, your influence can either be positive or negative. And when we see that we have the opportunity to increase our influence and impact others with our interaction, with our communication, if you've got something to offer, if you've got knowledge or skill to share, then do that. If you want to increase your influence with others, then you need to be adding into their lives as well. But I also want to stress this, that if you want to increase your influence with others, the first thing that you need to also know is that you need to also be growing. You also need to be adding value into your own lives and spending time on building yourself up and growing yourself. And not, in our industry, I know that you plumbers and qualified licensed plumbers, but there's more to being in this business than going to do the plumbing repair. It is about growing yourself in terms of business, in terms of leadership, like I'm talking about now, in terms of so many things that is required of you to make a difference to the people that you work with and that you work for. So I think one of the things that really strike me today nowadays is that I engage with quite a lot of people, through coaching and in my industry and in my community. And I find that we live in this age of social media, and we have an entire generation that is growing up with lower self-esteem, I find, than previous generations because of the way they compare themselves to others through these platforms. It seems through these platforms that everyone else has it figured out except for them. And I know that I also felt, I feel like I'm guilty of this every now and then as well. And within our industry, I look at other companies. When we were at the awards evening, the Ops Awards evening, not that long ago, I looked at some of these businesses and I started comparing myself, and I'm thinking like, wow, they are so much better than what we are, and how do I get there? And I think that ultimately, on the surface of things can look great, but we don't know. I don't know what challenges they're experiencing in their business. They don't know what challenges I'm experiencing in my business. When we're in environments like that, we tend to put on our best front, and everyone thinks, they are the greatest. And I'm not saying they're not the greatest. I think that they are the greatest. But also, we are dealing with challenges every single day, and we don't often put that on display. So I think for me, influence over here is taking what we've learned and sharing it with others so that others can grow as well. I once read this book, and it was on steel industrialist in America in the 1800s, a guy by the name of Andrew Carnegie. And he was an extremely wealthy man. And at one stage, he had 43 millionaires working for him. And a reporter once asked him in an interview how he managed to hire 43 millionaires. And Carnegie responded and he said the men weren't millionaires when they started working for him, but they had become millionaires as a result of working for them. And when the reporter next asked, so how did you develop these men to become so valuable to you that you have paid them this much money? And he replied, men are developed the same way gold is mined. When gold is mined, several tons of dirt must be moved to get an ounce of gold. But one doesn't go into the mine looking for dirt. One goes in looking for the gold. And if you are running a business now today and you have people working for you, look for the gold in them. One of the values within UPP is that we empower ourselves, but we also empower others within our business. So our model is always growth, growing those who are reporting to us to eventually be doing what we're doing, and so that we can move up and develop ourselves further. The other way that we have to increase our influence, like I said, is that when we add value to ourselves, like I said, we've got to grow ourselves, we also become more valuable to others. And to do this, it requires what I call EQ, an emotional kind of maturity, emotional quotient, they call it out there. And it requires a very honest self-reflection of yourself, being able to look in the mirror and really reflect on who you need to be, the areas that you need to develop, and the things that you need to do every day to improve on yourself. So I want to take a little bit of time to reflect on this. And I call this, what I'm taking you through now, I call it the reflection kit. And in this reflection kit, and this is what I do every single day of my life, is that I ask myself these 3 questions. And so what I'm going to challenge you to do is that try it for the next 7 days. I'm going to ask you to ask yourself these 3 questions. And at the end of the 7 days, and write it down, guys. I find there's huge value in writing this down. Write down the 3 questions. I'm going to take you through it now. And then at the end of every day, reflect on these 3 questions, answer it, and write down your answers. And I would like you to just, at the end of the 7 days, look back. So next Monday, look back and see if it's made any kind of difference in terms of your business, in terms of your productivity, and your own growth and those around you. So these are the 3 questions. At the end of every single day, I ask myself, so what went right today? What went wrong today? And what can I do differently? What went right? What went wrong? And what can I do differently? And I promise, if you take the time to answer these three questions every day, you won't keep going around and around the same mountain, the same challenges, that same issue day in and day out. And this applies in so many different areas in our life. And here's the thing, and this is quite serious, because we can stop dealing with the same problems over and over again just by taking time to reflect. And I think a lot of the time we keep dealing with the same things inside our offices. And I don't know what your challenges in your business right now is. It could be cash flow, it could be capacity, it could be any number of things that you're experiencing in your business right now. And the reason why it doesn't go away is because we don't take the time to sit back, and we can say, oh, I don't have the time. But I promise you, if you don't take the time to do this, if you don't take that time for the reflection, self-reflection of yourself and of your business for the day, asking yourself these 3 questions, you're going to keep going around and around and around. So you can grow as a leader just by taking time to think. And in doing so, you lead yourself better. And you'll find that when you lead yourself better and you do it consistently, and people see that happening, that they will then be more likely to follow you, not because they have to, but because they want to. So in summary, mastering your ability to positively influence others is the key to personal and professional growth. No matter what position, no matter what place you find yourself in today, whether, again, you are the owner of your plumbing company, whether you are working in a plumbing company or in some area within our industry, the biggest thing that can make an impact on where you're going to go is your leadership ability. And as I said, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. At the end of the day, it's a powerful tool, both inside and outside any business. Learn to use leadership, your influence effectively to carry out day-to-day tasks, to achieve your goals, but also to benefit others, to grow others, to empower others, and to make a positive difference in our industry by sharing what you have to offer back into your business and into our industry. Take a sincere interest in the success of others by connecting with them, by first listening and then understanding what is in their heart. And mastering the art of influence is a powerful way to ensure everyone's own success. It's a powerful way of ensuring your success. And that's it from me today, Mandy from the UPP Group. And this is part of our vision. It's to unlock people's potential by transforming and empowering and connecting women and men within our industry. Thank you.
Mandy, thank you very much for the insight this morning, certainly adding a huge amount of value. And I think those 3 key questions are, again, through all spheres of life are things that we need to ask ourselves. And sometimes we need to ask ourselves very difficult questions. And that's, again, when it comes to mentors and learning from people, is taking to heart those sometimes negative points, but trying to make us feel better, in terms of learning from it. So it's being able to be honest and ask the real difficult questions. So thank you very much, Mandy, and to everybody, have a wonderful day.